The Young and the Restless spoilers. Spoilers from behind the scenes of The Young and the Restless suggest that the nightmare surrounding Mitch Bacall, better known as Matt Clark, may soon reach a turning point, yet fans know all too well that a man like Matt never exits quietly, never disappears completely, and certainly never stops haunting the Newman family just because the law finally catches up with him. According to insiders, Matt's arrest is fast approaching, with Detective Burrow and Detective Annie Stewart closing in on enough evidence to charge him with large-scale fentanyl trafficking, a crime that could easily put him behind bars for decades. But longtime viewers, and especially Nick and Sharon Newman, understand that jail has never been enough to contain a man whose obsession with revenge burns deeper than any prison sentence. Even if Matt is locked up temporarily, his shadow, his rage, his manipulations, his sick fascination with the Newman family, will continue to linger over Genoa City like a storm cloud waiting for its next strike. Sharon and Nick have been living under Matt's psychological terror for far too long, forced to relive old wounds every time he resurfaces with a new name, a new motive, a new mask. The fact that he faked his death only to rise from the grave yet again has left both of them in a state of constant vigilance. Worn down, exhausted, but unwilling to let their guard down even for a moment. Nick, especially, has reached a point where he would rather see Matt buried 6 feet underground than trust the justice system to keep him away for good. After everything Matt has done, kidnapping, drug trafficking, deception, psychological warfare, and now dragging Noah into a life-threatening nightmare, Nick cannot imagine any version of reality where Matt simply sits in a cell and accepts defeat. Sharon, on the other hand, has always been the more level-headed of the two, willing to believe an arrest and conviction might finally put an end to the chaos, at least temporarily. Given her own past struggles with guilt, redemption, and the legal system, Sharon understands that closure does not always come in the form of revenge. She can stomach the idea of Matt serving time, even if she secretly agrees with Nick that it will never feel like enough. The looming arrest stems from months of meticulous work by Burrow and Stewart, who have pieced together a web of evidence tying Matt to a fentanyl network operating from Genoa City to Baltimore. From burner phones to coded shipments to accounts linked under false identities, the case has grown into something far larger than personal vengeance. It is now about dismantling a dangerous operation that has left countless victims in its wake. Spoilers reveal that the detective's strategy involves cornering Matt through the weakest link in his network, forcing him into a situation where running is impossible and violent retaliation would only worsen his charges. Once the arrest is underway, viewers can expect a dramatic confrontation, sirens piercing the night, officers swarming around Matt, and a last attempt on his part to twist the situation to his advantage. Matt has always believed he is smarter than the people chasing him, and arrogance like that never fades, even in handcuffs. For Nick and Sharon, news of the impending arrest brings a complicated mix of relief and dread. Relief because it means Noah and Sienna may finally escape the terror Matt inflicted on them. Dread because they've lived through this cycle before. Matt gets caught, Matt goes to jail, Matt escapes, Matt returns with even more vengeance than before. As far as Nick is concerned, nothing short of a body bag will convince him that the nightmare is truly over. Sharon tries to ground him, reminding him that they must trust the process, that they must stay strong for Noah, and that living in fear of Matt forever gives him more power than he deserves. But deep down, even Sharon knows that Matt Clark is not the kind of man who fades into silence just because a judge orders it. The biggest twist, however, is that Matt's arrest may come too late to undo the damage he has already done. Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall have been through psychological torment, kidnapping, manipulation, forced confessions, near-death encounters. Spoilers indicate that the trauma they endured leaves them shaken but still alive. Noah, battered but breathing, becomes a symbol of resilience for Nick and Sharon, who nearly lost their son to the twisted games of a man who should have stayed dead. Sienna, once seen by some as a mysterious, unpredictable presence, emerges as a survivor who proved her loyalty and strength in the face of Matt's cruelty. The two share a bond forged in terror, and when the ordeal ends, their gratitude toward Nick and Sharon becomes a quiet but powerful emotional shift in the family dynamic. Once Matt is arrested, the Newmans make the emotional decision to leave Genoa City temporarily, traveling to Los Angeles with Noah and Sienna to decompress, recover, and try to reclaim their sense of safety. Fans see this as a symbolic fresh start, a way for the four of them to step away from haunted hallways, old memories, and the echo of Matt's threats. Los Angeles becomes a haven, a place where Noah can breathe again, where Sienna can process the trauma without Matt lurking behind every shadow, and where Nick and Sharon can hold their children close and remember what peace feels like after months of living in fear. Their departure doesn't represent running away but rather reclaiming their lives from the man who tried so hard to destroy them. Still, no matter how far they travel, the question remains: how long will Matt actually stay in prison? Spoilers warn that his sentence may not be as long as fans hope. Technicalities, legal loopholes, corrupt allies, hidden accounts, and his ability to manipulate anyone within reach mean he could wriggle free sooner than expected. And if there is one thing Y&R viewers have learned from decades of Newman vs. Clark warfare, it's that a villain as calculated and relentless as Matt never truly disappears. Even behind bars, he could still orchestrate attacks, plant seeds of chaos, or find a way to escape entirely. The fear that drives Nick is not paranoia, it is experience. Every time Matt seemed defeated, he returned stronger, more unhinged, more determined. Every time Sharon thought the nightmare was over, she found herself trapped in another one of his twisted games. Matt is not a villain who thrives on chaos alone, he thrives on personal destruction. He targets the cracks in a family, the insecurities of a marriage, the vulnerabilities of a parent. Prison walls cannot restrain that kind of darkness forever. So even as Nick, Sharon, Noah, and Sienna step onto the plane bound for Los Angeles, finally free of immediate danger, finally able to breathe, there is a sense of unfinished business humming beneath the victory. Sharon tries to soothe the fear that clings to Nick's expression. Noah wraps a protective arm around Sienna, whose eyes reveal both relief and lingering fear. And for one peaceful moment, they believe the worst is behind them. But fans know better. Because somewhere in a cold, dim holding cell, Matt Clark sits with a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, already thinking 3 steps ahead. Arrested does not mean defeated. Locked away does not mean powerless. And soon enough, much sooner than the Newmans expect, his shadow will fall over Genoa City again, ready to ignite a new chapter of vengeance. Spoilers from The Young and the Restless reveal that the long-awaited reappearance of Matt Clark, once again using the alias Mitch Bacall, is set to shake Genoa City to its core, proving that the nightmare Sharon and Nick hoped was finally over is only beginning to take a darker, more unpredictable shape. For months the Newman family has lived under the illusion that justice might finally hold him, that this time the law had cornered Matt so firmly that even someone as cunning, manipulative, and venomously determined as he is could not find a way out. But as longtime viewers know, villains like Matt are not built to be contained. They slip through cracks, bend rules, exploit weaknesses, twist systems, and reinvent themselves with the chilling adaptability of a man who believes he cannot be destroyed. And now spoilers hint that his return to Genoa City is inevitable, whether through a violent prison escape or a shockingly legal loophole that grants him freedom far sooner than anyone expects. The first scenario circulating among insiders paints a picture of chaos erupting behind prison walls. Matt breaking free in a calculated escape, using the same dangerous connections that enabled his fentanyl trafficking ring. With enough money, leverage, and dead-eyed determination, it is easy to imagine him orchestrating a violent diversion, bribing corrupt guards, or slipping through the cracks of a broken system that never fully contained him in the first place. Fans know Matt doesn't fear consequences, he thrives on them. Every arrest has only sharpened his hunger for revenge, his need to dismantle the lives of those he blames for his failures, especially Sharon and Nick. If he emerges through an escape, his return to Genoa City won't just be sudden, it will be explosive, fueled by rage and the desire to deliver a final, unforgiving message: he is not done with them. Not even close. The second scenario is somehow even more disturbing because it mirrors the real-world corruption and technicalities that soap villains so often manipulate. Spoilers suggest that Matt could find a way to dodge the fentanyl charges altogether, not by innocence, but through manipulation. A payoff to a compromised judge, a tampered forensic report, a coercion scheme targeting a key witness, or a technical violation during his arrest could create an opening wide enough for Matt to walk through freely. And if he emerges through legal means instead of violent ones, it gives him a second advantage: plausible deniability. A man released on a technicality can blend in, charm the public, present himself as misunderstood or wronged by the system. It would be exactly the kind of quiet, calculated manipulation that Matt specializes in, attacking not with violence, but psychology, pushing Sharon and Nick to their breaking point while pretending to be the innocent party. Either way, one truth remains unchanged: his target will always be Nick and Sharon. Their names sit carved into the deepest part of his obsession, the fixation that has fueled every twisted move he has made since the earliest days of his rivalry with Nick and his sick fascination with Sharon. Spoilers tease that the couple will be blindsided by his presence in Genoa City, believing wholeheartedly that Matt was destined to spend years, maybe decades, behind bars. They had begun to breathe again, to imagine a life where Noah and Sienna were safe, where fear didn't lurk behind every phone call or unexpected knock on the door, where Matt Clark was reduced to a memory instead of an ever-present threat. But Genoa City is a place where ghosts return as flesh, where the dead rise, where villains resurrect themselves with chilling persistence. Matt's reappearance shatters that fragile sense of peace in an instant. Nick's reaction will likely be visceral, intense, and explosive. He has always been the one who reacts with fists, anger, and protective instinct, especially when his family is targeted. His distrust of the justice system means he will refuse to accept any explanation for Matt's release. He will see it as a failure, a threat, a ticking bomb waiting to detonate in Sharon's life and Noah's. Sharon's reaction will be more layered. Fear mixed with déjà vu, trauma resurfacing from years of mental and emotional torment tied directly or indirectly to Matt's manipulations. She nearly lost Noah because of him. She has lived through enough pain to recognize that Matt's return is not just a physical threat, but a psychological one. He knows how to push her, how to twist her compassion against her, how to make her question her own stability. The idea of seeing him again could send old wounds bleeding, and yet Sharon will try to hold on to her strength, her balance, her recovery. But even the strongest survivor can be shaken by the return of someone who once tried to break them completely. Spoilers also hint that the moment Matt walks back into town, whether in a cloud of violent escape or a smug, legally protected swagger, he will waste no time making his presence known. This is a man who lives for the power of shock. He loves the fear in his victims' eyes. He loves unpredictability. He loves entering a room like a ghost returned to settle unfinished business. And the Newmans, perhaps arrogant in their belief that the worst of him was behind them, will feel the ground shift beneath their feet. They will see him not as a fugitive or a freed criminal, but as the embodiment of trauma that refuses to die. Noah and Sienna, who nearly lost their lives because of the twisted games Matt orchestrated, will face their own reckoning. The relief of survival, the temporary escape to Los Angeles, the slow emotional healing, they will all be threatened by the simple knowledge that Matt is free again. Trauma does not require physical presence, it only requires the idea of danger returning. Noah, who experienced Matt's cruelty firsthand, may spiral into a mix of anger and panic. Sienna, already fragile from her own battles, may find herself haunted by his voice, his influence, his manipulations. Their healing was fragile to begin with, and Matt's return could crack the progress they worked so hard to achieve. Genoa City as a whole is not ready for Matt Clark. Not the police department. Not the justice system. Not the Newman family. Every time the town has underestimated him, he has proven just how far he is willing to go, and how easily he can slip between the cracks. His return will not simply reignite old tensions, it will open a new arc of danger, revenge, and emotional unraveling. It will force Nick and Sharon into survival mode all over again. It will pull Noah and Sienna back into the shadows they thought they escaped. And it will leave viewers watching every episode with the uneasy tension that something terrible is coming. The question isn't whether Matt will return, it's how. And when he does, how much destruction will follow. Spoilers encourage fans to brace themselves, because whatever path brings Matt Clark back to Genoa City, one thing is certain, it won't be quiet. It won't be short-lived. And it definitely won't be safe. Now, Y&R fans, do you think Matt will end up behind bars for fentanyl trafficking? Or will he slip free again and unleash another wave of chaos on the Newmans? Share your thoughts.